Sticking with the topic of Salah, there's an interesting verse in the Holy Qur'an, chapter 8, verse 35, that speaks about the Salah of the pagans. Now, the pagans, the pre-Islamic Arabians, are often spoken of in extremely pejorative or negative terms in the Qur'an. They referred to as the polytheists or the mushrikeen or the kuffar, and they are despised generally, seen as a negative phenomenon in the Holy Quran. And so we don't normally take anything associated with those pagans as worthy of emulation. Yet, in chapter 8, verse 35, we find the following verse regarding the pagans, speaking to the pagans in a fairly, relating something to do with the pagans that is in fact Islamic. And take a look at this verse, where it is stated, مَا كَانَ صَلَاتُهُمْ عِنْدَ الْبَيْتِ إِلَّا مُكَاءً وَتَصْدِيَةً. Let's just quickly give you the meaning of that. Their Salah, the pagans, their Salah at the house never consisted of more than whistling, muka'an, and the clapping of hands, tasdiyatan. وَمَا كَانَ صَلَاتُهُمْ عِنْدَ الْبَيْتِ إِلَّا مُكَاءً وَتَصْدِيَةً. Their worship, their prayers, and that is the meaning that Yusuf Ali gives it, because look at Yusuf Ali's meaning of the verse. Yusuf Ali translates that verse as, their prayer at the house of Allah is nothing but whistling and clapping of hands. Now we need to make sense of what do we make of this verse, because this verse is saying that the pagans used to make salah. مَا كَانَ صَلَاتُمْ, the salah of the pagans consisted of no more than clapping and whistling. And let's make sense of this. First of all, we have to understand that the word salah is far more than just what we've been brainwashed with, that it is a sequence of 50 or 100 minutiae, little actions, minuscule detailed actions that you make to please God. And if you don't follow those actions, if you don't keep your fingers and your toes and your arms and every aspect of your body in perfect posture, it is rejected from God. Now that nonsensical idea of salah is countered by this verse, because this verse is saying that the pagans in fact also had a salah. And so we must at the very least accept that the word salah has a broader meaning than the simple fiqh meaning that we have been taught with. There is something called salah that transcends, that is more, that is a broader concept to the salah that we find in the fiqh. And so what we get from this verse, first of all, is that there is a concept salah that transcends the basic idea of the ritual fiqh idea of salah, because the pagans also participated in salah. And the second lesson we can take from this verse is that salah, that which the pagans were involved with at the house or at the sacred precinct, was in fact a ritual. It was a ritual-filled endeavor. It was an endeavor that had no mind work involved in it. It had no real reflectiveness or reflexiveness involved in it. It was a mindless gathering of people. And that was the salah of the pagans, a mindless gathering of people where the mind is not engaged in any form, shape, or way. And now, if we should put back the meaning that that I've presented to you, it makes very, very clear sense what that means. And I'll give you the meaning that I'm offering here. And it simply states, their liaison, their engagement, their alignment at the house consisted merely of whistling and clapping. And that really is the accusation that is leveled against them. And sadly, or ironically, they are to taste the suffering as a result of having renounced. So these empty, hollow forms of Salah, is squarely and fully rejected. Salah, which consists of empty rituals, whistling and clapping, or screaming and singing, or any form of action, any form of activity that does not go above the neck, that is just basically a mindless activity, is seriously rejected in this verse. And we can comfortably assume that the Salah that is devoid of thinking, that is devoid of true commitment, that is devoid of any reflection, is a Salah that has no value, according to this particular verse. And we have to infuse the concept of Salah with meaning to make it have any real value. I compare it to Monopoly. Do you know the game Monopoly? Monopoly money has got no value because nobody else, it has no meaning in the real world. But real money, real gold or real silver, has true intrinsic value. It is not only a piece of paper, it is something with intrinsic, eternal value. And that is the concept of Salah, being aligned, being engaged, being connected. The true concept of Salah.